Meantime, Hogan Gidley is going to be joining us here momentarily, so let's go to a clip from Hogan Gidley yesterday to get him started. Let's go to Cut 9. Hogan Gidley says, President Trump stared down the coronavirus, and now he's back. Cut 9. Hogan, who's next?
The president himself, in the videos he released, being very transparent, letting the American people into his hospital room, in essence, even talked about the fact that he has learned so much about this virus, having now gone through it, sharing the experiences of so many people in this country now. He understands what the fights are that people have gone through. He understands now more about the medicine, more about the information, and that makes total sense. Anybody who experiences something directly has a different level of understanding about that experience. And so the president's no different. He literally stared down coronavirus. It looks like he's on the back end of it. The two best words I've ever heard Doc Conley say, he's back.
Hogan Gidley, the hoaxer, the press secretary for the Trump-Pence 2020 campaign. Hogan, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely, John. Thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it.
All right, Hogan. Hey, great clip there, by the way. Nice job, right? Figured we'd do that as your intro, right?
I appreciate it. I still prefer Stevie Wonder, but that's fine.
We love Stevie Wonder also. That's my intro. So listen, Hogan, let's get to the debate tonight. What do you look for from the vice president? What does he need to do? Well,
I think that the vice president's going to talk about the fact that he's been sitting beside our amazing president when some of the biggest decisions have been made to improve the lives of all Americans, regardless of race, religion, color, or creed. He's going to talk about the advice, talk about the counsel from the president, but also talk about his execution of those policies on behalf of this president and how he has stood by and watched Donald Trump systematically move in a way that Washington, D.C. is not accustomed to. Systematically work to make sure that all people's lives were improved by the policies we put forward. It's a success story that the vice president is uniquely positioned to share because he's been right next to the president in those times. And as far as coronavirus is concerned, this president wanted to make sure that a task force was formed so that we could begin to look at this with the full force, with the full weight of the federal government. And he asked Mike Pence to lead that effort. He wanted someone who was a governor, who understood how local governments worked with the federal government. That's why we employed FEMA so much in this matter. Mike Pence worked with all of these governors and made sure they got all the PPE they needed and all of the gloves, the gowns, the masks, the ventilators. And he was on the front lines of that with the president. And being a vice president, watching a man who comes into Washington, all the political headwinds are against him, all the negative media he receives, I think this vice president is going to do a great job explaining all of the successes of this president. But in addition to that, he is also going to point out how Joe Biden is completely wrong for the future of this country and for our families, for our cities, for our towns, for our jobs. And Kamala Harris, who is the vice president's former vice president's running mate, is so radical and so far to the left that it is a danger to the future of our nation as we know it.
What do you expect Harris to do tonight, Hogan?
I'm not sure because I've read some reports that she's going to really try and attack President Trump. That's fine. She's the most liberal senator in Congress, even more so than Bernie Sanders. She voted against the USMCA trade deal that brought in hundreds of billions of dollars into this country, hundreds of thousands of jobs. She voted against the tax cuts that put more money in the people's pockets. She supports the Green New Deal that would destroy our economy and our energy sector. I mean, she is as radical as they come. She wants to defund ICE, abolish ICE, defund the police, all the things you hear about that people are kind of people in the media are kind of turning a blind eye to. That's not real. This is exactly what Kamala Harris wants to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know for a fact, but I doubt she's probably going to bring up the fact that she called Joe Biden a sex criminal and a segregationist. But who knows? Mm-hmm. She may do that again because they've already messed up a few times in calling it the Harris-Biden ticket. So she may be trying to undercut him at this debate. We'll wait and see.
John Fredericks Radio Network with Hogan Gidley. He is the press secretary, Trump-Pence 2020 campaign. Hogan, one thing that I just want to highlight right now, get your take on it. This took almost the entire first term, but finally the president moving on HB1 visas of skilled workers, which basically is giving American workers and college students the opportunity to get better jobs. We had these HB1 visas coming in where it was basically cheap labor, people from India and other countries taking college graduates' jobs. Now what they've passed through executive order is that that's done, and if a company hires an HB1 visa recipient, and it has to be at a higher wage that they would pay a U.S. worker. Took a long time, finally got it done. Is that something you think that either tonight or in the ensuing debate is going to be highlighted?
I'm not sure. I hope so, because it is a stark difference between the two candidates. As you know,
yes.
Joe Biden has already bragged about tens of millions of illegal aliens getting amnesty under his plan, giving them work permits to undercut the American worker. But that's no surprise. He did that for 8 years in the Obama White House, and he also did that while he was a senator too. So, he's no friend of the American worker. I mean, China, I'm sure, would be excited for some of Joe Biden's policies because they benefited so greatly from them in the past. But, I hope those things are issues that we talk about other than just, a couple of hand-picked ones from the media. I mean, look, already we know some of these moderators, they're not the most unbiased of folks. Chances are, just like the president had to debate Chris Wallace and had to debate Joe Biden, I imagine that, Vice President Pence will have to debate Kamala Harris and Susan Page. So we'll see.
Hogan, Vice President today coming out and saying, or the former Vice President, Joe Biden coming out and saying, well, because Trump has got COVID, if he doesn't test negative, I don't think I could debate him. I might get sick. It's a health hazard. Everybody could get sick. Everybody could die on stage or whatever he said. But he's trying to weasel out of the debate. The president already said, hey, I'm going to be there October 15th for a debate. What happens?
Well, the president is going to be there. He's preparing. We're moving forward as though everything is going to be as it was, the rules and the debate schedule we agreed to. Obviously, doctors will dictate some of this. So if there is some health issue, that's something that they're going to kind of determine ahead of time, and then we'll have to figure out exactly how that looks and what form that could take. But right now, we're on schedule to do exactly what we had planned to do before. I mean, this president has done an outstanding job, not just in the office, but with this virus, going to Walter Reed, taking the necessary precautions, listening to doctors, and now, thankfully, the clip you played when I came on, that he's back is a great way to put it. But also there are some vital signs for the president that look really good per his doctors, and that he has no complaints of respiratory problems. He has no live virus that can be detected inside his blood, so that's great news. But as we move forward, obviously the health professionals, the ones who are just absolutely top-notch, best in the world, they're the ones who are going to help kind of determine exactly when and where we can go.
Do you think Biden will show up for the debate?
I don't know. I'm done kind of predicting what Joe Biden's going to do because it's just so goofy and illogical. There's no point in me trying to take the time to figure it out, but we're going to be ready one way or the other.
I don't know how he doesn't show up because you have 10 days. The 10-day period, it's going to be 13 days between when the president tested positive and when the debate is, I believe, 13 days. You have a 10-day period that that's what the CDC follows. So I think you ought to be fine, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Look, we've seen this before. It's an old movie, but another rash of polls out in the last 2 days, all showing Biden now with a lead that's growing. One poll had him up by 17 or 18 nationally. They've got him up in Pennsylvania, up in all the swing states, these various fake polls that come out. Have we not seen this script in the past?
We have. It's the same thing they tried to do to the president before. And what it really is aimed to do is just suppress support for the president. We have a ground game like nobody's seen. We're seeing Republicans register to vote in these states at a much higher pace than Democrats. They want to get out and vote for this president. No one likes Joe Biden. The media doesn't like Joe Biden. They just hate the president, and that's pretty obvious. But for us here at the campaign, we are absolutely focused on making sure that we drive home the message from now until November that we need another 4 years of peace and prosperity. That can only happen with Donald Trump.
How prepared are you for the mail-in ballots and the ballot stealing, the ballot fraud that we're going to say? Has the campaign
We're ready.
allotted?
We're ready.
Do you have lawyers? You have poll watchers?
Yep. We got lawyers that are fighting this tooth and nail at every level. Democrats are now kind of been exposed for what they want to do. We've seen countless examples across this country where ballots have been thrown away, found in trash cans, found in dumpsters, all with Trump, voters, of course, naturally. We're fighting at the state level to make sure that the vote is free and it is fair, that the election is legitimate. And right now, with Democrats suing to allow votes to come in after Election Day in multiple states, it just doesn't look like it's going to be that way. The elections are state-run, so there's a limited amount of the federal government can get involved. But we are suing people on the ground to make sure that we are countersuing and defending against some of the aggression by the Democrats that are really trying to upend an election just a few weeks before voting starts.
So you're confident, Hogan Gidley, that the RNC and the Trump campaign are going to deploy enough lawyers, enough legal counsel in these various states, these various vote counting operations to be able to be sure that ballots that are not legit get properly challenged?
I am. I'm confident. Now, look, Democrats are sneaky. They've been doing this for a long time. They've been prepping to try and create chaos in these elections. So we expect that to be the case in this one too. They cannot stand being out of power. The president took the power from them and gave it right back to the American people, and they are furious about it. So they're going to pull out all the stops, but I think we're going to be ready for them.
Final question. The fake lying news media keeps telling us that the Trump campaign is running out of money. You have no cash. Are you guys going to be able to get to November 3rd and beyond?
Yeah, we're going to be fine. We have all the money we need to be up on TV in all the important states to send out people all over the country. Operation MAGA started yesterday. We're going to have in-person events beginning with the vice president tomorrow in Nevada and Arizona. We're going to be blanketing the country with all of our coalition groups, Black Voices for Trump, Latinos for Trump, Women for Trump, bus tour in 12 states. We have plenty of money, and we're gonna flex this muscle between now and November many times.
I've been saying, as the chairman of the Trump campaign in Virginia, I've been saying for weeks that Virginia is competitive, and I think we can win as a battleground state. The president came here 2 weeks ago. Also, he tweeted out the other day that Virginia was in play. What say you?
Look, I think all the states are in play that we need to expand the map and control the map that we had in the last election. It looks really good for us right now internally. And I think we were in for another night of where the media are going to be crying onto their anchor desks and wondering what just happened, because they've been systematically working together to try and take down this president, from day one. So
we're out of time, but on election night at midnight, when Trump is ahead in Virginia, you're going to personally send me a text saying that I was right, correct?
I am. Signed the Hogster.
The Hoagster. John Fredericks Radio Network.